If you have been living under a rock for the last 20 minutes, you would not know that right now you're watching the Collegiate Star League Grand Finals between the University of British Columbia, currently up 1-0 against the University of Waterloo. I am Day 9, and welcome to the grand ultra epic finals, where these players have a chance to win $2,000 in TT Esports gear, or for second place, a $1,000 cash prize from Justin TV. Right now, it's going to be NrGHumble, a Grandmaster Terran, against UBC's coLFireZerg, a Grandmaster Zerg. As you might imagine, the matchup is going to be indeed on Tal'Darim Altar. Without any further ado, let's actually jump right into it. Oopsie daisies, I meant to say Zerg. Humble is a Zerg player. He's a Zerg player, you guys. And coLFireZerg, as you will note, is also a Zerg. I have yet to see a player who has, adjective race and doesn't play that race. But I'm sure I'll break the trend. Or I guess Toss Girl does play Terran. All of that is aside the point. Right now, coLFireZerg from the University of British Columbia, very happy to already have his team up 1-0 thanks to his first round teammates win, Style winning over Anti-Mage. So let's see if Humble can end up pulling it back in this ZVZ. This is going to be on Tal'Darim Altar. We see a good little bit of good manner because these are upstanding college students. That's right, all of these students are full-time in their various universities. Tal'Darim Altar is a very tense map for Zerg vs. Zerg primarily because this is a very wide choke, and also this is a wide choke. Very difficult to defend yourself early on from speedlings without just having speedlings yourself. So with the distances, this means that you can't really hope to do a lot of aggression with pure roaches early on, and at the same time it can be a little bit difficult with banelings and reinforcing. So it's a very odd sort of dichotomy that goes on where you can't really defend yourself very well, but it's also a little bit difficult to attack too. We see Fires are going for a very early gas pool build. Look at this double gas and pool on 13 food. In the meantime, we see NrGHumble. Oh no, he's going for an early expansion. This is very difficult to hold on this map. Keep in mind, University of Waterloo, that is the team that NrGHumble is from. They are currently down 0-1, but both these players are Grandmaster players. They're in the top 200 of the North American region, so big props to them. We will definitely trust that NrG knows what he's doing. Or should I say Humble? NrG's the clan. LOLs! Either way, FireZerg's pool is now finishing. Now, if you're a very perceptive player as Humble, you know that this was likely to be not a 10 pool, likely not some sort of ultra fast pool, but it's definitely not a late 14 or 15 pool either. So this can potentially be a little bit confusing. A lot of times players will walk in here, convince themselves that it's a 10 pool, and overreact. There are the 6 Zerglings coming out right now for FireZerg. Looks like Humble! Oh, he doesn't lose the drone. Very nice play there for Humble, and that's actually quite key. He managed to delay that mining time just a bit. He managed to get, I would say, another 25 to 50 minerals stolen from his opponent because of that delayed mining time, more than making up for the fact that this little droney guy got information himself. So we're now seeing Roach Warren go down from NrGHumble. This is the only real way that he can hope to defend. Couldn't rely on pure Zergling. Too much space to cover if Banelings did end up rolling in. So we do see FireZerg moving across the map. Is he continuing to mine gas? Well, he does have a little bit of extra gas mine. Not enough quite yet to go Banelings. We do see a Spine Crawler going down at the front for NrGHumble. He's making a couple of Zerglings, but he's really going to be saving larva and gas to make sure he can pop some of those roaches out, and he will need to do so quite swiftly. We see the 6 Zerglings moving out for FireZerg. Oh, they get trapped! Oh, Humble with an amazing play again, marking down a little bit of pride for the University of Waterloo, known for trapping you. Man, I'm good at rhyming. We do see there's the second queen popping out right now for NrGHumble, and by second, I mean first queen. I was actually a little bit surprised that I thought that was a second queen, because definitely that's a risky play to do when you open up against any Zerg opponent. It's very difficult to support 2 queens and that roach production early on. But Humble, again, he's Grandmaster. How did I ever have any doubt at all? Looks like Humble now setting himself up for a good defense, but I want you all to focus on this production tab for red. Humble is now going to be forced to make a lot of units early on. He has no vision. Look at the vision coverage for Humble. He only just now is getting his Overlord in a decent spot. He's going to make some drones, but he has to be very careful because, again, Speed Zerglings are out on the field, and once he sees this huge swell of Speed Zerglings, he's bound to make some more units. Oh, wow! Still making drones. Humble having a lot of faith in his ability to be able to defend the front, but no, the Zerglings end up sneaking in. Will CoLFireZerg be able to do enough damage, or will these Zerglings all die before they end up taking out that many drones? It's a big concern, but because CoLFireZerg does have speed, he can easily maneuver around, and we're seeing the Roaches start to get into a mix. Oh, CoLFireZerg with a very unusual engagement. Very surprising there from CoLFireZerg. More Zerglings streaming into the base. Looks like CoLFireZerg is convinced that he can maybe do enough permanent damage to get a solid lead, but in the unit counting station, we do see that Red does not have a lead in the drones, but he definitely, with this second hatchery, will have a lead in production. But these Zerglings just ripping apart as many drones as they can, and now it's Orange's turn to be able to try to step into the lead. More Zerglings are being produced right now, more drones. This is the problem with Speed Zerglings on this map, and it looks like Humble is going to be able to defend. In the food station, we do see he is ahead. Look at this, 43 food to 35, but we do see that in terms of drones, they're both dead even, and Humble will likely lose this queen if he is not careful. And oh gosh, CoLFireZerg being so annoying with these Zerglings. That may have been the damage that he needed to secure to make all those Ling run-bys worth it. The real danger for CoLFireZerg right now is that he has no tech. He only has Spine Crawlers, only has Zerglings, has only mined 128 gas this whole frickin' game. And if that Roach count from Humble gets high enough, it doesn't even matter that they are cross-map distances. There will not be enough time for CoLFireZerg to replenish Roach numbers or even Spine Crawler or Zergling numbers to defend some huge counter. There's another pair of Spine Crawlers going down for CoLFireZerg, very aware of the tenuous spot that he's in right now. However, I do think this is quite a smart play from CoLFireZerg. Notice that if he gets enough Spine Crawlers up, he can just get a handful of Speed Zerglings, like 10 to 12, and just poach them out at the front, pin these Roaches permanently to the defense, while CoLFireZerg himself is completely counterattack proof and actually fairly direct attack proof. Now we do see NrGHumble slowly building back that queen force that was annihilated early on by those Zerglings. There's the layer tech going down. Keep in mind, though, that Humble is still ahead in the food count. In the unit counting station, we do see just a little bit behind NrGHumble is with his 36 to 40 drone count, but is ahead in those Roach numbers. However, CoLFireZerg looks like he is not going to be competing on the Roach front at all. Ow, I actually think CoLFireZerg is going to be going himself for a little bit of the Mutalisk action. Might seem weak given how strong those Infestors are at pinning those Mutalisks, but keep in mind that with these huge distances, you can cover a lot of space and control game flow quite easily. Here's Humble now trying to take up these destructible rocks, a very smart play for him as well. If he's going for a Roach Hydra Force, he can't really put much pressure on, he can't really hope to attack too much, but he can absolutely have a solid, giganto, frightening ground army that he can use to hold 3 very nearby bases. So CoLFireZerg just double checking to make sure his B and C buttons are working on his keyboard, and he has proved it over 8 times with these 8 Spine Crawlers. We do see now that the layer is finishing up for CoLFireZerg, and with that gas count, will likely be going for Mutalisks, or if he's super crazy, he'll go straight for Infestors. Ooh. Now, Infestors are a great unit, but keep in mind they are a support unit. You cannot hope to rely on pure Infestor, I guess, unless your name is Complexity CoLFireZerg. Infestor Spine Crawler. He's going to have a little bit of trouble knocking down this one destructible rock with just a Zergling. Hang in there, buddy. You got this. I believe in you. You have the fire in your heart tonight. Anyways, we do see the hatchery going down right now for NrGHumble. We see that good old limbo line of overlords. Look at CoLFireZerg with those Speed Zerglings controlling all 4 Xel'Naga watchtowers. Clearly sees all these overlords in the middle of the map. Now Humble, without map control, still trying to utilize those overlords as best he can, trying to spot as best he can. But notice Humble is no longer keeping these overlords out on the map, pulling everything back. Very smart play, knows that there's a potential for a lot of Mutalisks to end up swinging in. Little does he know, lulz Mass Infestor. Ruffle. Now we see a whole lot of Zerglings going down to those destructible rocks, taking them out, gearing up for yet more bases. And you know what? This play by CoLFireZerg may have been strong enough. All of those Spine Crawlers at the front, motivated Spore Crawlers at the back door for Humble. Meanwhile, Humble is taking himself his extra hatchery at his third base. Man, a third kill going to be going down for those queens. More spore crawlers getting produced. Very cool little tech pattern coming up for Humble. Looks like he has a good amount of Hydras that are on production. Has that range upgrade going down. Now FireZerg can gear up to take his extra base. And look at this! FireZerg going for a very fast hive. An extremely cool play. Keep in mind, Infestors can lock down with that fungal growth, and Zerglings and Ultralisks can rip things apart. Or he may not even go for the Ultralisks at all, just instead favor that savory adrenal gland for those Zerglings. 20% damage might not seem like that much, but you're wrong. It's a lot. Oh, man, I'm so compelling. We do now see that NrGHumble is taking an extra gas geyser, has these well-positioned spore crawlers all about, has a decent number of roaches. At unit counting station, we see both players continuing to mass up a good amount of units. 12 roaches on the field, 13 Hydrals, both at 57 drones with those 7 Infestors, orange. CoLFireZerg, the player from University of British Columbia, can easily delay almost anything that gets thrown at him for a nearly indefinite period of time. I guess nearly indefinite period of time divided by 2, given the recent Infestor change to the 4-second fungal growth. There, the Zerglings from FireZerg are continuing to poke, and even though they may not seem like they're doing direct damage, look at Humble keeping so many units pinned in defensive locations. Very, very nice, smooth, clean play. FireZerg on the field, we also see, has a lot of queens. We see 4 queens from FireZerg, 3 queens from Humble, using those early queens to pick off those overlords, and then transitioning to that extra hatch larva vomit. Spore Crawler going down in the back. Humble's increasingly starting to go, maybe you're delaying your mutas for a longer time. You're honestly going to be very, very confused if you are in Red's position in this game. You're going to try to look around. Zerglings end up picking you off, but I mean, really all you've seen if you're NrGHumble is a whole bunch of Zerglings, and that's about it. So as he moves here, he just sees that crate, knows that there's going to be a base there, immediately double checks just to ensure that he's not being out expanded. And now with that hive done, look at this, an Ultralisk Cavern from FireZerg, already getting that chitinous plating that I would love to call a chitinous plating, because I did take the Hooked on Phonics program. There's the melee attack level 2 going down, as well as the range attack for the opponent, Humble from the University of Waterloo. Poor you, Waterloo, you are down 0-1, and you know what? Let's get some names up in this bad boy. Thank you so much, Blizzard, for your fancy schmancy interfaces. We do see now Complexity's Fires are stockpiling those Zerglings in the middle, still having control over the watchtowers, and this is not something you really want to see at any point. You'd much prefer that your opponent was incapable of building units, but alas, in a strategy game, units do have a tendency to get themselves made. Now keep in mind, these Ultralisks are extremely good almost no matter what. Once you have the Infestors locking the units down, it doesn't matter that those Ultralisks are not the best units against the Hydros. They will be tearing them down quite quickly. Here the Infestors getting ready to lock down. Look at the Ultralisk doing 17 damage against regular and 40 against those roaches. And here's a huge Zergling counterattack by FireZerg. Knows his army composition very well. Ultras and Infestors for the defense, Zerglings for the counterattack. And what can this slow, pathetic, sad, frowny army do for Humble? It can just drag its slow little Zerg butts all the way back. But unfortunately, Humble is having this hatchery target fired. It looks like there's a couple of roaches starting to swing up. Do those roaches even have the speed upgrade yet? It looks like yes they do, but when they're off creep they're still so slow. Oh, losing the expansion, and it looks like Humble realized that that was going to go down at the last second, decided to reorient all of those roaches and Hydras to go to the bottom left as quickly as he possibly could. Very, very rough spot for Humble, pulling his units back for the defense, but it turned out not in time. And there's some amazing fungal growth, Ultra swinging in. Look at the damage dealt to those Hydralisks, ripped to shreds. Zergling, Ultralisk, Infestor, and ZVZ. Look at the food counts, tumbling to almost nothing for Humble. The Infestors doing absurd damage. The Ultralisk get to nibble their way through this entire force like pastries. And poor Humble, with a destroyed second expansion, University of Waterloo ain't looking too hot, poor thangs. Now we do see Humble trying to regroup, making exclusively roaches. Clearly thought a little bit too much that mutant numbers were coming and ended up over-favoring those Hydralisks. We do see the adrenal gland gland coming down. The Favori, oh so savory adrenal gland popping out right there. Is almost mined out in his main, but is very clearly ahead with this unit mix. The Infestors are very, very far behind, trying to drag their way back up. The Ultralisk and Zerglings already positioned in the center, and in a short 40 seconds, we are going to see that plus 20% damage rate for Zerglings will finish. Now Stahlife played last game. Oopsie doopsie daisies. We see NrGHumble trying to get into a good spot. Oh, there's a transfuse going down on one of the roaches, but will it be enough? The Infestors with their fungal growth are going to lock those units down. It looks like the Zerglings do try to poke forward for just a moment. Couple roaches. Oh, we're going to get surrounded. No, it looks like he is going to rearrange these units briefly if he can. Very cool play by CoLFireZerg. Runs to the front and then double checks to see if this third expansion is the one actually going down, because CoLFireZerg knows that this is really what he wants to keep from happening. And it looks like a surround play. Ultralisk swinging in from the front. There's the fungal growth. We see a lot of damage being dealt by those roaches, annihilating all the Zerglings. Ultralisk trying to swing in, but there's just so many of them. Beach ball infested Terrans getting thrown to the fray. Bleep Ultras Humble blown away by this style of play, and CoLFireZerg brings it to 2-0 for the University of British Columbia. Big props to them right now. UBC is just 2 games away from that championship, and Waterloo, who have been champions before in the Collegiate Star League, the team to beat, needs 4 wins to be able to take this series down. Don't go anywhere. We got some 2v2 coming up right after this.